Women, the podcast, usually broadcasting from the Enthusiastic Women Worldwide headquarters, where every day we birth success. But today, instead, we have brought our enthusiastic team on the road, and we are at a brand new co-working space popping up all over the country, and recently here in the Twin Cities. Welcome to the Riveter. Yes, I am Miss Shannon. I'm happy to welcome my friends Judy Carter and Samantha Masalia, two friends here for this remote broadcast. And again, Samantha and Judy, as always, two women prepared to birth success. How's it going?
Ready. I'm more enthusiastic than ever, Shannon.
I've never been so ready.
So are you prepared to birth on the road?
Yes.
That seems like kind
Birthing
of a different challenge than what we're accustomed to.
Out on the open road.
Well, just reminding everybody who has listened to our podcast before, if you're just joining us, the Enthusiastic Women podcast, we are three friends and Gen X women on this podcast. We analyze, discuss, and parody trending topics, pop culture, and the insane products that they often try to sell us. Mm-hmm. And also today with us here at the Riveter, we are joined by Bree Sharkey Smith, a member of MSP Now. Hello, Bree.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Oh, we are very glad to have you. We appreciate other enthusiastic women that come on the show at any given time. We do have a few enthusiastic male allies, but they are not very often on the show, so thank you for being part of the show tonight.
Absolutely. Happy to be here.
So, for everybody who's not familiar with MSP Now, can you give us a little background on it?
Yeah, absolutely. So MSP Now is the local chapter here in the Twin Cities for the National Organization for Women. So up until...
Here.
So who's in the audience? Thank you guys very much.
So we actually didn't have a National Organization for Women chapter in Minneapolis, St. Paul up until a couple years ago when after the 2016 elections, my friend Alyssa and I realized that yelling at dudes in bars was like not a strategic plan.
What?
So it probably does not get your theory, as far as a communication strategy, it's probably not the most efficient.
Yeah, no, it's super cathartic, but it is not like a good strategy.
So is it the yelling at them that was not working or the bars part?
I mean, both of those things worked great. I just didn't get the broader change I wanted to see.
Not as politically effective as other methods.
Know, Judy.
Might hope.
I had not tried that before, Bree. I normally just yell at them on street corners and such, just randomly out in the wild.
You know, I find it's a little more fun if you have gin in your hand.
Oh, so, as are most things.
Exactly.
I can't believe we didn't, and I've been involved in politics before. I'm really surprised that we didn't have a Now chapter.
Is that one of those things that we just presumed there was one?
Yeah, and there had been one. Okay. So we have a state chapter, the Minnesota Now chapter, and we have had local chapters here in the Twin Cities in the past. Okay. But then life was pretty good under Obama. Right. And so the Minneapolis chapter folded.
Fair enough.
So that closed in 2011, and so we didn't have one.
That's what happened. Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So how did we not? I thought there was. But it was and then it wasn't. Okay.
Exactly.
So primarily, what is your main focus for doing that here in the Twin Cities, Bree?
Yeah, so the way that our chapter's kind of focused is we're really about electoral politics, which is why we're so excited to be here at the Riveter tonight doing the debate watch party, which is what we'll be doing after this. Mm-hmm. But we focus on making sure that women are not just heard in politics, but that we are being represented. So
absolutely,
right. So
it's a numbers game. It's a ground game.
Absolutely. Like in the Minnesota State Senate right now, there are only 10 pro-choice women out of 67 members. So that's like not even 15%. So we're really focused on making sure that we get to knock doors, hold educational events. We do phone banking. We do postcard writing events. We do all sorts of good stuff, basically aimed at getting more women elected. So we have a big event coming up in just 2 weeks. It's the Run Like a Girl 5K.
Yes.
And so we raise a bunch of money and awareness to get more women to run for office. That's our big marquee event. But we do all sorts of stuff. We raise money for for shelters for women who are escaping domestic violence. We host educational events around reproductive rights in Minnesota. So if it will benefit women and girls and non-binary folks here in the Twin Cities, that's what we do.
So Bree, have you run into any like systematic, just recurring barriers that you go, okay, we have to deal with this again?
Yeah, well, yes. Okay. So
funny that you mentioned that, Shannon.
Fair enough. Okay.
So one of the things I've yelled at men in bars for, what we see a lot is that one of the things that we're really surprised by as MSP Now is that women's rights are not actually enshrined in the Minnesota State Constitution.
Fair enough.
And so we don't have an Equal Rights Amendment. There are a lot of just constitutional things that we think are in the Constitution that are not. So we do not have equal rights amendments. We are always focusing on that, trying to make sure that we actually get that enshrined in our Constitution. Because if we can get that, it helps us fight for things like equal pay. Because that
the ERA still kills me. You know, the fact that never got passed, and It's one of those things that just hits me in the gut. But no, that's fantastic. We need to keep bringing that up.
Right. So, and if we can change those laws, if we can get women elected, then we get to change some of the other things that are in our Constitution. So one of the things that Minnesotans might not know is that we actually do have a constitutional right to an abortion in Minnesota.
Right.
But since 1995, 400 laws have been proposed to kind of peel that back and make it more difficult.
Wow.
So it's shocking. Over and over and over again, we're seeing things being proposed like those heartbeat bills here are being proposed in Minnesota. Like, you never know. You think that we're like this bastion of pro-choice freedom, and we're really not. So
we kind of seem to be this sweet spot of, we do have all of these, we have the mentality for a lot of these things. And people seem to be on the side of a lot of these cases. And some of the things that some of the organizations I work with, we see this all the time. You'll get like a new fledgling senator, and somebody will come at them and then go, hey, you should do this. And then they run full force on that. And then it takes organizations like MSP now to sit there and go, wait, let me tell you about everything else that's involved that you didn't know about, right? Because you only had that one viewpoint when you wrote this.
Right, like, thank you, adorable, great idea. Right. Let me give you some additional context. Yeah.
And that does seem to happen very often. I also think that we forget sometimes because, we're like, we're Minnesota, we're liberal, we're blue, we're this, that quite often what you end up also having is you are more likely to get this complacency because we do feel so comfortable.
Exactly. I mean, and there are a lot of great things about living in Minnesota. We have the best park systems in the country. Prince is from here. We have all this great stuff. We're claiming Lizzo.
Right.
But
well, Lizzo claims us.
Exactly. Oh, it's a mutual love fest for sure. But we do tend to forget that we're actually not as good as we could be.
And compared to, there are certain things that are great about our educational system, and then there's things that are terrible about it, and different inequalities that we have to continue to remind people. And it does seem like quite often, and we don't talk a lot of specific politics on this podcast, even though we all are human beings and we all are people that have backgrounds and have feelings about this. But in general, part of the reason why we decided to be part of this debate viewing party is that we encourage everybody to become educated and become involved.
Exactly.
And if you have an opinion about something, you no longer have the luxury of being passively in support of your opinion any longer. So we encourage you to get educated and notice what is going on, because we all rise together.
Exactly. That's just it. Rising tide lifts all boats.
If nothing else, be part of the conversation. Even if it's a part of the conversation that we don't necessarily agree with, at least now we can figure out a way to sit there and talk about it over a table, and we won't send Bree out to yell at you in a bar.
Exactly. Although I am also happy to be hired for that. So, I mean, it's now...
What is your hourly rate?
I'm very affordable. It's work I love.
Do you do rail gin, or is it, do I have to have a specific variety?
No, it's a martini, so we need a decent... Well, now when I throw it at somebody, it really has like a dramatic effect.
That frosty feel, the frosty feel, and maybe an olive in the eye, the sting of maybe having the pimento actually aggressively land someplace.
Yes, we want a little burning. Yeah, pimento rage. That's exactly it. Yeah.
So if people are interested in being part of MSP Now, how do they get a hold of you? Where do they find you on the web?
Yeah, so they can find us at mspnow.org. That's our website. We are also on Facebook and Instagram.
Nice. Wonderful. So, Bree, what we're going to do is we're going to go into the rest of the show. We know that the debate will be starting soon this evening. We encourage everybody who is here at the debate viewing party at the Riveter to chime in if we are missing something important. As we continue, we're going to talk about a few other things. So, Bree, we'll let you know what we're going to talk about, and you can decide if you want to stay with us or not.
Perfect. Sounds good.
We have one topic that's
that
actually
you might like.
Adjacent to this. We're going to talk about women's health apps and how they're mainly designed by men, and also the privacy situations. You'll like that topic.
Yeah, I have some feelings about that.
No, exactly. It's a good topic.
So for Bree and everyone else who is in the building, or if you're listening, we always have 4 segments. Now, the first one is our segment called Product Displacement, and this is a segment where we talk about a particular product or brand and whether their efforts are a hit or a miss. Today, in this episode, we are talking about Ben & Jerry's and the fact that they have a new flavor. Just let you know, it is not vanilla. Then we're going to move into our next segment. It's called Did You See This? And this is where we usually talk about different brands that are out there. Today we are going to be talking about that wellness app and what's going on out there. We're going to talk about that today as well. We're going to move into our Does This Make Me Old segment. Today in Does This Make Me Old, we have a list of the fall makeup beauty trends. And we kind of want to let you know that some of the old trends seem to be new again, of course, because that's what happened.
And then there's just some weird stuff going on.
And our final segment is our segment, and today it is, Excuse Me, Sir, And excuse me, sir, we usually talk about what's going on out there in the online dating world, specifically because our friend Samantha, who is the most successfully relationshiped of the three of us, enjoys watching Judy and I talk about our online dating world. So today we are actually... Everybody laughed. Good. I'm glad you could laugh at our pain. Thank you very much, River folks.
We use the app.
And so for everybody here at the River, to everybody listening, we are going to be talking about the fact that Facebook dating is up and running. And now we want to know, are we going to be running to it or running away from it screaming?
So this is horrifying.
Bree, you're welcome to stay.
I am in, yeah.
It's about to go down. It's about to go down.
Time for product displacement. This product displacement is brought to you by Enthusiastic Women Online and the Enthusiastic Women record label Enthusiatunes. Today we are going to talk about Ben and Jerry's ice cream. And Samantha, I think that you have done a great deal of research into this particular topic.
Well, yes, and I'm just going to talk about Ben and Jerry specifically for a minute or two because I want to pivot to an exciting topic of our new enthusiastic ice cream ideas. All right, so
we always have some sort of way that we can work it in.
I just want to preface this topic by saying that Sam seems, well, let's just use the word, very enthusiastic about talking about ice cream tonight.
I really am.
We have talked about this story more than stories that actually were involving earthquakes and life-threatening things.
Yes. It's going to be such a letdown.
So,
but,
okay, let's just go, Sam.
Alrighty. So
let it roll.
Ben and Jerry's has a new ice cream, which they announced in the last week. And as we all know, Ben and Jerry's promotes values and social causes through the names of their ice creams. So that's how they wind up with things like empowerment ice cream. And they just unveiled a new flavor called Justice Remixed. Which is intended, we shouldn't laugh, it's intended to highlight structural racism and a broken criminal justice system. The flavor is cinnamon and chocolate ice cream with cinnamon bun dough and fudge brownies. I have not been able to find it in town. I have looked.
She's gone
but I will track it down.
Some of the flavors they only have in certain regions.
Oh. I should have.
So
found
are you
out.
saying that we do not need justice? You know,
Yeah,
we
we
don't
need criminal justice reform here.
Yeah, some of them they only they did a flavor that they only had in Florida about one topic, so it might not be here.
Well, we'll keep looking for it. It's the same kind of pilgrimage that when I went on my pilgrimage to find the Beyond Meat product, eventually I found them. That was something that I feel like I was as equally enthusiastic as Sam is about this ice cream. So even if she has to have it imported from someplace, she is going to find it.
Okay, tell us more about the ice cream, Sam.
Well, that's about Ben and Jerry's. I want to talk about our flavors.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
She just thought it was neat that they came up with one, and so she's like, we should have her own.
What would our enthusiastic woman ice cream be, Sam?
Okay, this is going to be such a letdown now, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Okay.
All right. There's several elements here that are represented in our flavor.
Okay.
It has to be grounded in chocolate.
Oh.
All right.
Is there a reason?
Because it's not a dessert if it doesn't have chocolate, in my mind. Okay. And now,
we got a huzzah from the audience.
Okay. All right. Now, we as a brand, as enthusiastic women, we are not about pretending or fooling ourselves.
Oh.
Right? And we often engage.
Speak for yourself.
We often engage in what we frame as real talk.
Correct.
Right? Okay. So chocolate-based real talk. I introduced to you my new flavor, Real Chocolate.
I will give you a golf clap for that one, Samantha. That was better than I thought.
Thank
I had
you.
only gotten as far as to thinking about this because she did give us this as an enthusiastic homework assignment, and I had just gotten as far into the product of going, I know that it wanted to be I was going to think more of like a cultural sensitivities type flavor. I was in that one. So I was thinking that for sure it should at least be made with rice milk because I felt like that was a commonality with a lot of people, and I wanted to stay from dairy.
All right.
So that's as far as I got. So if we can add it.
I got a showstopper.
Oh, okay.
I got a showstopper.
Okay, here we go.
Mine is on trend.
Okay.
It is on brand.
Yes.
And it is unique.
Okay.
Mine is called ube cocoa ice cream with crinkle cookies. Do you guys know what ube is?
I don't think I'm cool enough to know what that is.
Okay. So ube is a lavender colored, it's like a purple sweet potato from the Philippines.
Okay.
That they used to make desserts.
How dare I not know
and
this? I'm so embarrassed.
Trader Joe's a couple years ago
spent too
made
much
this
time doing
ube
social change.